Welcome to the Wandering Tangent Podcast. I'm BJ, with me is Jeff and Gary, and today our discussion is going to be based around the 2021 action film, Nobody.
Yes, and I
Once
watched
again,
this movie.
Nobody speaks.
Nobody speaks.
Who's on
I'm
first?
somebody.
What's
I'll
on
speak.
second? I don't know who's on third.
So I mentioned this. This movie is it's a midlife crisis movie. It is totally not what I was expecting. The twist in it wasn't something I really saw coming the first time around. And I'm not always the most observant person. BJ's pointed that out a couple of times, just a few times. But it did have me for a little while, and then it finally gives it away about a third of the way through the movie. You're like, oh, wait, this person is very different than I, as the viewer, was introduced to him as. But it's an ultimate male fantasy of I'm powerless, but oh wait, I have hidden abilities. I have a set of skills, as Liam Neeson would say.
I have a very particular set.
Yes.
Beat me to the reference.
Well, that's what I thought. The twist in it was actually surprising, and it was okay. I actually agree with one thing BJ said a moment ago in a review. For those who haven't watched the review, he mentioned that some of the action sequences seemed, and putting it in my own words, like they're not as realistic, or their tone is more just more over the top, slightly unrealistic. Yeah. And I get that too.
Like the first fight scene in this movie is this pretty gritty fight on a bus where the main character fights five dudes and gets pretty beat up in the process. The last fight scene in the movie is this somewhat cartoony, very violent cartoony shootout with these almost Rube Goldberg device traps and a very old shotgun wielding Christopher Lloyd slumping around blasting goons who run towards him despite the fact they have submachine guns. Literally dozens of goons who charge. In fact, one has a wrench. Why does this guy have a wrench? It's not like there's not like a dozen guns on the ground from where all his buddies got shot. But no, instead he charges so they can have this dramatic scene where, is that where they have the gun throw, where the camera follows the gun in like a isolation shot or isometric shot?
Yes.
Like I said in the review, if I had not known these two action scenes were from the same movie, and if you had shown me them in isolation, you could have convinced me they were from two different movies starring the same dude.
And of course, the bad guys, despite the utter destruction and chaos around them, they just continue to fight and charge and just keep on attacking. Where in reality, if 50% of the goons get totally wasted, the other 50 are just going to run for it and get out of there. It's not normal for them to just like continuously
at some
go like
point,
lemmings.
The goons would think to themselves, gee, my gun can shoot from more than 2 feet away. Maybe I'll stay here behind cover and shoot at these guys who are standing back to back in the open. Gary.
Yeah. Other than that, there's a lot of good things. I liked a lot of things about it. And even if the action was a little hokey, it was still action. Like, there was some really good musical picks for the soundtrack.
Like I said, my big problem with it is that it was sort of this intensely wild, this like tonal shift, right? Like, if the whole movie had been sort of that goofy, I probably would have liked it more, but it just went from why yes, we are inspired by John Wick to, we're not. It's like, we're done being John Wick. We're just going to be Bugs Bunny now. Well, I don't want to say Bugs Bunny because it's not quite that cartoony.
It's
but
not quite there, but it dabbles in it. It gets a little closer to that. And I haven't seen John Wick. Is John Wick just like this in its action sequences?
So,
Or it's a bit over the top?
It's
so John Wick.
It's a bit over the top, but it's much more grounded. I'll say. Or
So there's at least some plausibility to it. Yeah.
Like obviously, I'm not going to call it realistic.
Because you can't call any Hollywood movie realistic for the most part. Yeah.
John Wick is sort of the movie that started the more realistic action renaissance. Gary, you gave this movie 5 stars,
we're kind of drowning him out.
Well, I try to give him open, but he's been very quiet. And
I was trying.
He's been sitting on feelings.
Okay,
so.
Are you going to let me talk, BJ? Are you going to let me talk?
Yes.
Are you going to let me talk?
Let the man talk, BJ.
Can you guys let me talk? Can you?
Absolutely.
Can you let me talk?
I don't know.
Okay, because I've been trying to talk for like the past, I don't know, 5 minutes. And every time I try to say a word, you guys talk over me. I'm getting vaguely annoyed by this. But anyways,
say quiet, class, quiet.
Quiet, class, quiet. So, BJ, this movie is okay. Kind of like an homage to John Wick. You're right. There's some elements to that. But even John Wick started realistic in its presentation, but like by the second, third, fourth movie, it was just as cartoony as the final fight scenes in this movie as well. Right. So let us not place those particular movies up high on a pedestal. The reason why I give this movie a solid 5, right? The action sequences, yes. There was a tonal shift in the action sequences themselves. The storyline, though, is this fairly solid storyline that kind of everything happens apart from the things that you guys apparently can't forgive within the action sequences. The storyline follows, like, everything that happens in there happens for a reason, and a reason that was spelled out earlier, or something that is a very human reaction. The hero of this movie follows a path that he didn't quite mean to set out on. He was trying to walk away from a life of violence towards a life of, peace, quiet, and being with his family, but he gets dragged back in just kind of by the oddest of little coincidences, and he would have just walked away,
Can I ask you a question, Gary?
Yes.
So the catalyst that starts this whole storyline, the pizza box that was jammed into his garage door, which allowed the robbers to patrol the neighborhood, see his garage door. They probably picked his house because they saw that from the street. I imagine, this is me just guessing.
They might have put the pizza box there themselves.
Okay, because I'm guessing that I could be wrong. Is it possible that he could have put the pizza box there just because he knew that there were robberies in the area and he wanted the house robbed because inside he needed the adrenaline or something? He needed the excitement back into his life. But that's me reading into the story. That it's not spelled out that way, of course.
It's not spelled out that way. so there's some questions, and this is one of the big questions that I would have to ask you guys, because I didn't understand, because there's a debate between me and my wife about this particular question. Not the pizza box itself, but for instance, the character's wife, right, makes mention, like, she kind of understands what's going on, but she doesn't understand at the same time, and it's left up in the air as to exactly how much of his previous life she knew about.
It is,
and that I don't understand, because I at first, the first few times I've watched this, I got the impression that she didn't understand what his previous life was, but in watching it this time, I kind of got the idea of, okay, wait, does she actually know? That, she kind of comments like this again, or a few comments like that. Like, maybe she kind of vaguely knew that there was more going on to him.
She's patched him up in the past.
Yes.
Because she says, I'm always here for you. And treating him from a knife stabbing wound is not surprising to her. So there's got to be something there. She probably knew a lot, but perhaps she didn't know everything. Perhaps there was a limit to it. And through this, she starts to understand there's a lot more.
Yeah. Or maybe she thought he had walked away more permanently, and now it turns out that he's not quite as away from it as he would want to be. And it in the end, she kind of accepts that. But
I think he has a proclivity towards violence. He's not a bad person, but he's been through so many things that he just doesn't feel happy unless he is in danger. There's it's like the Hemingway idea, where you need that in order to feel like you're alive, except he has it times 100, like a very intense level of it. And going through his enormous experiences has left him in a state where he just doesn't know how to emotionally cope with life without it. But he tries. And so he probably got into fights, and she knew that he had this proclivity towards needing to be in the action, but she had no idea the source of it all, of just the deep history of it. So when she makes a comment like your uncle was a real soldier, where he was just an auditor, because that comment makes you think that, yes, he did not share with her any of his extensive history, but yet she did know about his need to punch and be punched. I'll just put it that way.
There's also, at the same time, we also have the other main character of this movie, the villain, Julian, right? And he's, like, the whole storyline sets these two on a collision course. Through only it is kind of a little bit of happenstance, but the only small happenstance is that the Julian's brother crashes into this bus. And that's the only kind of, like, isn't that a nice coincidence that kind of happens in the movie, at least in my opinion. Maybe BJ, you can point something out in a little bit, but in my opinion, it's just kind of like, okay, it is a coincidence that the brother crashes into this bus, but after that, I mean, you can see how determined and resourceful this guy is, Julian. How determined and resourceful he is to get revenge for his brother's death, even though in his heart he knew that his brother was, kind of a piece of trash that was not the greatest
person. He didn't even like his brother.
Well, his brother was, as you can see, you know, the way he acted, he wasn't the best person in the world, and he pretty much, I mean, yeah, he died, but and maybe he didn't deserve to die, and even Bob Odenkirk's character didn't think he deserved to die.
I don't think the brother dies.
No, he does.
I thought the
he
brother
dies.
is in the hospital.
He's in the hospital,
okay.
but he's, as they put it, he's got brain damage, and they say he's effed. So he's probably dead.
Okay.
Or going to,
All right.
either he's going to be permanently disabled, like in a vegetative state, or dead within the course of the movie. It doesn't show him die, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is, you know, even though he doesn't, even though he has issues with it, he still says, okay, he's still my brother. I got to take care of him, you know, or at least I have to get vengeance for him, just in the same way as, you know, Bob Odenkirk's character, his Hutch is, you know, he doesn't, he goes on this massive rampage because of a kitty cat bracelet, but it's not really the kitty cat bracelet.
It's his family.
It's his family, but also it's himself too. Like, he needs to, like, pressure has been building in his life, and he seriously needs to vent this pressure. Right? He needs to do violence to something. Like you said, you know, he's got a proclivity to violence. And Julian also
Which is
has
why
that.
I think, go ahead.
No,
yes, he does. He's a very uncontrollable guy, and he has to prove it to other people that he is an unpredictable monster that they should fear, just to keep them all in line.
But he's weighed down by it because now he's achieved everything that he thought he wanted. But apart from the club, which is, you know, is the one thing that seems to make him happy, you know, he's you know, high up in this organized crime syndicate, and he has control of all this money and resources, and yet he's like, oh, he almost seems a little bit relieved when, like, he's angry, but also a little bit relieved after the Obshank is burned.
Really?
That giant pile of money. Like, he's angry, but it's more like, okay, now I can just go kill this guy and walk away from everything. Even though he could have just walked away, as Bob Odenkirk, or as Hutch said, you know, we can just call it, right? You've hurt me, I've hurt you, we can call it. But Hutch knows that he's going to walk, you know, he gets into his car and he knows that guy's going to walk out and be ready for war. And that's why he's like, come on, just come out. Come out, I can fight you. And then he comes out and he's like, yes. Anyways. My little rant over.
Okay.
So,
BJ, what did you like about the movie? Gave it a 2.
Am I allowed to talk again?
Yes. Yes, come out of your cage. It's okay.
Okay. So I will note that I have only seen the first John Wick movie, so that's the only comparison between the two I can make. So I do not know how cartoony the later John Wick movies get. So I just have the one point of reference.
They get
just
pretty bad, BJ. They get really bad.
That's normal in sequels. Like, they start off with a pretty decently realistic movie, and then they have to get it more and more crazy. Rambo does that a lot.
Yeah, but and at least those are different movies. It doesn't take place in the same 90 minutes, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. So like, as far as coincidences go, I guess, like the crash I'm okay with, because there has to be like what's it called? What's the term?
Inciting incident?
Yes, that's the word, inciting incident. I will ask, so it's established that the dad, I forget what his character's name is, but he's played by
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd, that's it. That's like the third time today I've forgotten his name.
David, his name's David.
They,
but yes.
yeah, so they establish that he's a retired FBI agent.
Yes.
Is that just cover? Was he also an assassin?
He could have been something very different.
I know it's
Since
mentioned.
apparently the assassin thing was a family affair, since all of them are gunmen, gunfighters, assassins, assassin-ish.
It was mentioned by him earlier when they were talking about military veterans, about how his father had seen some action in a previous war. I'm willing to bet either Vietnam or the first desert war. I'm not sure, but they did mention that when they were talking about, interviewing people who had been in the military. So
Yes. So he could have been something and then became an FBI person for a while, and then he kept his badge and it expired.
yeah,
Something like that. Or the badge could be nothing. It could be that he just carries it just for some purpose. I don't know.
He just has
Because
an FBI badge
because
at random.
if you just go into a room with a bunch of criminals to interview them, if you have the badge, they may not know. They may not know, but except for that
He
one
got
group.
the badge from his dad. It was his father's badge.
yeah.
Right.
Except for the one veteran who spotted it instantly. But then that veteran spotted
Yes.
the tattoo on his wrist and was like, "Oh, I think it's like is it 7 and 2 or something like that?"
There's something like that. Some cards, yeah. I
So-
don't know the symbolism behind that particular hand.
I looked into it. Apparently, in poker, that's like a really I can't remember which kind, but one of the variations of poker, they give you just like a few cards, like one or two cards, and if you get cards like that, that means it's like one of the worst hands you can be dealt, or something like that, or it's a pretty bad hand to get dealt. So
When
basically,
you're dealt at first.
yeah. If you're dealt these cards, then just be ready for things about to get sucktastic, right? So that's where that comes from, and so that's kind of like the symbol of the unit that he belonged to, the auditor unit that he was part of. And the people understood, like the people that they would encounter understood that if somebody came along from his unit, or not the auditor, the people being audited would understand that if somebody from his unit was about to show up, then you're about to have a pretty bad time. Just like if you got those cards in a card game. I don't know. That was apparently the idea.
Okay. If I may offer one more nitpick that came to mind.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Why does he have gold? Did the government pay him in gold? Did he take the gold from one of his targets?
I'm guessing now. Okay, so a lot of people, and those the gold wasn't uniform, right? You saw that some of it seemed to be similar, but a lot of it was like mismatched pieces, as if collected over a period of time. So I'm guessing it might be that, because a lot of people who are in positions like he's in, they tend to get paid, and then when they get paid, they tend to think long term, right? And there's a few things you can invest in. One of those being precious metals, right? That was an awfully lot of precious metals. So the question is how long his career was, and did all of the contracts he did, were all of them specifically for the U.S. government, How much was he getting paid when he was part of working for the US government? And maybe did he do some side contracting, you know? Maybe not necessarily, you know, killing people he shouldn't have, but maybe, you know, he's working on the side for a company. Maybe he needs to clean up a company's mess as opposed to the US government's mess, and they would pay better. I don't know. All I know is he was fairly above board, and so
He's a mysterious guy.
yeah.
We don't know. We get kind of a shadowy glimpse of what his background really is. All we can do is see his abilities and kind of guess at what his past was. So at some point, I agree with Gary. Either he collected it ethically, or he might have had some sort of side quest where he might have been unethical to some bad guy somewhere and got all that loot. It's just unknown. It's hard to imagine, even if he was working for the government, that he would get that much money. But I don't know. Yeah. Perhaps he was a contractor for a while and got tons of money that way.
At the time, I just kind of thought, oh, well, that's another nod to John Wick, and that in John Wick, the assassins were paid with gold coins. I'm like, oh, yeah, so of course, in this movie, he has assassins who has gold at the risk of making Gary angry, because apparently comparing this movie to John Wick
No,
makes Gary angry at me.
no, it was the you
Naughty
guys not
PJ.
letting
No.
it was the you guys not letting me talk, because I legitimately was trying to talk for like 5 minutes. And anyways,
That's how I feel when I talk about Star Trek.
but anyways,
You're like,
so
well, anyway, it goes both ways. I know.
people have people the people so when you're getting prepared for bad things happen, and people especially military veterans tends to think in those terms, and it's not just them, there's other people as well. There's the idea of the prepper, right? A person who prepares
Yeah.
for, you know, disasters of some variety of an or another. And then there's people that are just like, okay, maybe it's not a wholesale disaster. Maybe things are just going to go badly. And it's not exactly a stretch of the imagination for Hutch, Bob Odenkirk's character, to think that his past maybe is going to eventually catch up to him. And he's going to need that. He's going to need money, because it wasn't just gold in his little like box that he had in there. There was also like a whole stack of cash too. So all he would have, you know, if he needed to get away, right? And then once he got away, what he would, you know, how is he going to survive, right? And the easiest way to
In another
survive
country somewhere. Or something.
in another country is to have a large quantity of resources. And gold is if you have to carry money in bulk, gold is a relatively easy way to do it, right? Because it's heavy, yes, but, you know, as compared to bricks of cash, you know, at least, you know, as much cash as it would take to equal that gold. Plus, the gold is less traceable, not completely untraceable, because it's all stamped. But it's less traceable.
But you could melt it down.
You could. You won't make as much money if you try to sell it. You won't make as much money as you do. On the other hand, it's easy for you to sell to somebody if you need to, you know, in a pinch, right? Somebody's, you know, you walk up to some sort of like precious metals dealer, or even just a bank of some sort in another country, right? Yes. Sorry, I don't. So you walk into a bank or a precious metals place or something like that, you know, and then you say, okay, I need to, and this is just the stash that he had in his house too, if you think about it, right? He probably has a much more established plan somewhere else relatively close by, which is why he was willing to let this one go immediately. He probably has like, I don't know if you ever watched other movies or anything like this along those lines. You've got what you have immediately in your home, and then they talk about in another movie. I think there's one where it's like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and they're two secret agents that try to kill each other or something like that. They talk about how they have a real retirement plan, like a shipping container full of resources somewhere else. That if everything went badly, they would just go to that stash that they had, and they would just grab what they needed from there. I've met quite a few people. No, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff? No, I was just like, I was going over, like, he has the survivalist side of the action hero. He has all the skill set side of the action hero. He also has the psychology of it, where you're struggling to fit in or to make peace with your past or something like that. In his case, he's trying to be normal, and it's just not working for him. And
he needs to learn how to accept the kind of the truth of the matter. Right. I think that's ultimately what happens between him and Yulian. Both of them kind of accept the truth of the matter, and they understand that even though they probably could have gone their lives without encountering each other, and they probably both understand each other very well at a certain level, they also, what's the expression? This town's not big enough for the two of us.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, eventually one of his goons would have come across him, or I don't know. The point is he was ready for a fight, and when those rowdy people crashed into a bus and then came aboard and started harassing a girl on the bus, it was something he just didn't want to let go. And he, in the commentary in it, he explains how he just wanted it so bad. He wanted to be in that situation again. He's just addicted to danger.
Yeah.
And to probably neutralizing that danger. That's where the addiction comes.
So Jeff, you mentioned that you hadn't. Actually, I'll ask both you and BJ. Neither of you had seen this movie before this, right?
Nope.
Right.
So, how much did you know going into this? Like, Jeff, it seems like you got caught a little bit by surprise.
Yeah, I watched it twice. The second time around, it was a completely different movie, it seemed like. Because after you go through the story, everything in the beginning has kind of a different meaning.
But I had seen a clip of the fight on the bus. That was my only exposure to this movie. I believe you asked me to go in as blind as I could, so I did not look into it at all.
So what, Jeff, when was the moment you kind of started understanding that something, he's not just some normal, I guess, an accountant at a metal fabrication shop?
It was the moment he described the gun. So he tunes into his radio friend through his ham radio.
Yeah.
And he starts talking, and he gives a lot of details about the gun. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, he is not the guy that he was first presented as. Just a mild-mannered, normal guy who is a pacifist, who doesn't want to hurt anybody. And not a pacifist, but definitely a kinder person who doesn't want... He's a responsible, normal guy, is what I'm trying to say. Because when he got a chance to hurt somebody, he thought, no, just let him go. We don't need to push this further.
and the friend on the radio, actually that's his brother, by the way. Yeah, his father
That's his
adopted
brother?
too. Yeah, well, I don't know if it's adopted, but I know the father adopted.
There's oh sorry.
No, BJ, go.
Oh, I was going to say there's kind of a blink and you miss it shot one of the times he visits his dad in the retirement home. They show a picture for a few seconds of a man and two kids, with one of the kids not being the same race as the other kid, as the other two. So if you had happened to look away during that particular part, then yes, you would not catch that they are adoptive brothers.
Okay. Yeah, I did miss that, but yeah. Okay. Very good.
But
Yeah, so I didn't. Yeah, the moment he's described that gun, it was, yeah, something's different. And he described how he recognized that there were no bullets in the gun, which you don't really know if there's one in the chamber, though. There could have been one round in that gun, even though the rest of the there were no other bullets in it. But I get that. He recognizes that they're not professionals. They were nervous. He could tell that they were not in the game. These were not your normal kind of robbers. And he probably sensed that. And so he just wanted them to go. And his prediction, or what he thought of them, turned out to be correct. They were people who were probably criminal, but they're also very desperate, and so they're taking advantage of people, which is wrong. They're doing it out of desperation because of their situation.
now
So he's, yeah.
I'm suffering massively from the Mandela effect, because I could have sworn up and down, left and right, before I watched it this time, that he grabs some of the money from the Obshank and leaves it at those criminals' doorstep. But apparently that doesn't happen in the movie. Maybe I'm getting it confused with
All
another.
that.
BJ?
That would have been a good
I just-
scene, though.
Oh, I was saying that I don't recall seeing that either. So
That would have been good, though.
is
Yeah,
there like
I would-
more than one cut of this movie?
No, there isn't. I could have sworn, and I went back through it and I looked through like deleted scenes or director's cut or anything like that, and it doesn't exist. So maybe I'm getting this confused with a different show or a different movie, even though that feels like something that would have happened, right? Or am I like,
That would have been, yeah.
it feels like something
No,
that would have tied up that little loose end or whatever, but maybe not. I don't know.
Okay,
Mm,
another question. Why did he forget to take out the garbage so much in the beginning? Because I forget to take the garbage to the street. I get that. It's funny. That's one of the things that sold me on his character originally, that this was just a normal guy. He's forgetting to take out the garbage. But somebody who's an expert assassin is very good at remembering things. So I think either the thing about his memory and his sense of organization is that it's all tied to the mission. When he has a mission, he's focused. When he doesn't have a mission, he lets things drop and he can forget things, like the garbage. He forgot every time. He was asleep. It's just not something on his radar because he's hyper focused on other things. And so that could be part of it.
BJ?
Like if the taking the go ahead.
Mhm.
No, I'm just wondering, BJ, do you any thoughts? Because I have some thoughts. I'm just wanting to give you an opportunity to say.
Nope, I didn't think that deep about it.
So
Nope, go ahead.
so this one, Jeff, I think is a lot less to do with the story and a lot more to do with the art of making movies, right? The entire
Well, yeah.
opening sequence of the movie establishes frustration, right? You are seeing
Yes.
into this guy's life and you're kind of getting wound up and you're becoming more and more frustrated by everything that's happening to this guy, right? you might start to see a little bit more about what's happening, and everything builds towards and I think BJ, I understand some of the frustration you have with this movie, because it builds this whole first act culminating in the bus fight, is in my opinion very, very, very well done, to where it builds up and it frustrates you, and you are just kind of like you're feeling his anger and frustration. And part of it is, yes, Jeff, he forgets the trash. Maybe that doesn't really fit with him later in the movie, or him as being a person. Maybe he's slipping, because if you look at the fight, in the bus and in a few of the other places, he's not absolutely perfect. He needs to like get back into the game of you know of fighting and being, aggressive towards these other people, right? So he
Well,
needs
he's had
to get
2 kids, so he
Yeah.
must have been away from all that for like at least 14 years or something.
Yeah, something like that. So, it just so it builds this frustration until it releases at that point. And you notice the next day, even though he's beat up, he's probably has that knife wound in his side. He's out for a jog, but the entire tone of it is different. The music is a little bit more liberating. You see it from a different angle. He doesn't seem as tired. He seems to be enjoying life a lot more. It's just, you can see that he's kind of starting to accept things a little bit better. Or maybe not accept things a little bit better, but at least he's enjoying himself a little bit more. So, yeah,
He's
that.
humiliated. Like, people humiliate him when they do it subtly. But like the police officer says, which is not something a police officer would ever really say. It's very Hollywood. But he's like, "Oh, if it was my family, ha ha ha." And the neighbor, I understand. His neighbor could just be naive and all that, yeah. But he's humiliated, and I wonder if that drove him to it. But I don't know if I don't think he cares what other people think. It probably bothered him, but I think ultimately he does what he does because of how he wants to feel, not so much because he wants to prove anything to anyone else. But all those jabs, and his son doesn't respect him as much because of that. Yeah.
But then he starts to slip out of this new life that he's created and slip back into his old life, and he starts to feel happier about everything. Though he doesn't lose himself in his old life. You note he still takes time to, take care of his family and love his family. And his little daughter is the absolute apple of his eye. When he has to walk them back through the house, he could have the lights be on, but he turns them off mainly to protect her. Like, he covers her eyes, even though his wife and his son are both just absolutely horrified by everything they're seeing around them. Well, maybe his son is a little bit more eyes open, oh my gosh, this is what my dad really is. And maybe probably going to be following in father's footsteps, But we'll see. There is a sequel of this movie coming out, so I've got that to look forward to.
Okay, another nitpick, which is not huge, but I'm wondering if you guys thought this too, but the scene on the bus. I get that the guys crashed into the bus. I got that they were making that girl feel uncomfortable, and that's all wrong. But I almost wish they would have established them more as dirtbags, so it would be morally obvious that he had to do what he did. I think, is it just me? Is it just me, or was the fight not completely as one's? But I mean, they're all dirtbags, yes. But I wish it was more obvious that they were evil.
I can kind of see what you mean. Like, it's not to not to keep comparing it to John Wick, but there's no "they killed my dog" moment.
Yeah, I mean it's bad, but they're obviously an awful bunch of guys, but they don't establish as much evil as I would expect. Whereas the other main villain, oh, they establish him as evil. They do quite a bit of that. He is a monster who is dangerous. Yeah. I mean, he comes in and hits his own guy with a chair. He's just a terrible, terrible beast.
Okay, so and he one of the other people who owns a percentage of the Obshank gets, just because he kind of looked at him funny, gets what is it, a cup, a broken glass shoved in his face, and then his neck
Like
cut
a
or something like
broken
that.
wine glass.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
I don't even know if he looked at him. He just went and found somebody.
Yeah.
No, there's kind of a scene where they kind of glare at each other.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a funny look. But I think so it doesn't establish, other than the fact of you can probably see where this is going, right? They haven't committed the crime yet, but you can probably tell that they're not going to be very nice to this young lady on the bus, right?
No, and yes. So I think they implied it, which is fine. They implied that she was in real danger. And they don't make it as obvious, but it's probably implied well enough.
And she recognizes it, right? When Hutch starts beating the guys up, kind of like at the first break in the fighting, she gets up and runs away, and she stops to say thank you to Hutch before she leaves, because she probably recognized that if he hadn't stopped them, things wouldn't have gone very well for her, right? You could tell in the look that other, because there was 3 people or 4 people on the bus. The driver, there was some guy with a book, just kind of like chilling on his way home, and he was a big guy, but he looked at this whole group of people and he just kind of
he just got right off the bus. He takes the cell phone of the bus driver, which means he doesn't want her recording anything.
Or
there might be a security
the
cam on the bus. Or calling the police, yes.
Yeah.
Or access to her radio on the bus. So he tells her he takes her phone and kind of like tells her to leave, closes so that she's out of the way, so that she doesn't interfere with anything. Because he doesn't want the police involved. There's another comment he makes later, like, don't call 911. Like, yeah, don't involve anyone else. This is just me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy in this. Like, you can tell the tone and the mood of things. He's got a lot of deep emotion in him. And I think one of the things they do really well in the movie is just building up tension. I like old Westerns that do that, where they carefully build the tension before they do the action. So the action actually is better once you have the dramatic tension that leads to it. I think they do pretty well in this one too.
So, apart from his frumping around at the end, what did you guys think of Christopher Lloyd's character? Kind of this old man who's seen a lot, but he knew exactly, like he's kind of old and a little bit slow, but he knew exactly when to move he presented himself as helpless until the two people came up and were going to kill him, right? And then he just stopped them, right?
Yeah, and the audience is wondering what's going to happen next. It's this old guy, and the two Russian mobsters are there, and they give you another surprise. So he's funny. Christopher Lloyd's funny in this.
I mean, yeah, I'm okay with that part because it plays to the strength that a old man who nonetheless knows what he is about. It plays to his strength, of surprise and whatnot.
Yeah,
and plenty of shotguns.
That was
That's
a rather
superpower
amusing
is,
line.
many
You
shotguns.
brought a lot of shotguns. You brought a lot of Russians.
Yeah.
And you're right, especially right at the very end, it does kind of jump the shark a little bit. I'm willing to forgive that in my assessment. I'll still stand by my perfect 5. But I do kind of agree that especially that final fight scene, it does kind of like a little bit BJ, a little bit less Rube Goldberg. I think you're thinking of Home Alone, but with adults and guns and grenades. Especially a Claymore mine. Yeah, no, that little pane
Yeah,
of
the
safety
Claymore
glass
thing I didn't buy.
is not going to stop so Claymore mines, most of the explosion goes forward, but some of it does go backwards, and even if the glass did stop it, it'd shatter his arms or something like that.
They would both be dead.
You also don't have to get within 2 feet of the guy to make the Claymore lethal.
Yeah,
you
doesn't
don't.
the Claymore, it's bad for like tens of meters because it has like little tiny
a good
balls, steel
a good
balls
at least
that go
out. Not balls, more like fragments, right? The
okay.
The US one, I know the European ones are like little square fragments. The US one, I could have sworn was discs last time I saw one opened up. But it's little pieces of metal.
Small bearings.
It's little pieces of metal held together by an epoxy with an explosive on the other side of it.
So he really just should have set it down on the floor next to him and then got behind something and then set it off. Because it's not like he needed to be that close. He could have just like fired it towards him, and that probably would have been very much enough. But also his shield, like I don't know a lot about bulletproof shields, but I know they're not endlessly bulletproof. With like an assault rifle emptying a whole magazine into it, at some point enough rounds are going to go into it, it's going to shatter.
So safety glass to stop bullets, and we're talking like small bullets, right? You're going to have like, it's going to have to be fairly thick. Whether or not, and if it's fairly thick and then it's going to be big enough to cover most of a person's body, it's going to be very heavy. So yeah, this is one of those kind of, yet again, I'll have to agree with you guys in that this kind of jumps the shark a little bit, more than a little bit, but okay. So it does start to lose integrity the more you shoot it. You're gonna have to. I don't know.
Yeah. So
it's out there.
Yeah, no,
it's difficult.
Yes,
it's difficult to buy that one, but it is dramatic, I guess.
No,
Go
BJ,
ahead,
you were
BJ.
saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that we have established the fact that at this point in the movie they aren't exactly going for gritty realism anymore.
No.
And then I was also laughing about the fact because I remember back when we reviewed Prince. I mean, to be fair, people's opinions on how to rate things can change. Because I remember back when we talked about Princess Bride, Gary like, well, I had like 3 nitpicks, so that's why it's a 4.5. Now Gary's like, it jumped the shark a little bit, but I can forgive it. It's still a 5.
It's a 5 because he
Gary,
liked it.
Well,
if you like a movie well enough, it becomes a 5.
Well,
it's just a 5.
Yes, that was my opinion at the time. In the end, I'm right. No, I'm just kidding.
In the end, right.
In the end, I win.
No, I will grant this one to you, BJ. I will grant this one to you, BJ. The one thing I won't grant to you is the fact that I didn't tear into Princess Bride near as much as you've torn it to John. So I will reserve my right. Yeah.
Into nobody. Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yes. Well. Well, I also only gave it a 2 instead of a 4.5. So again, kind of a difference of opinion.
We have done
which
plenty
is okay. Which is okay.
We've trashed on plenty of very good movies, and we just do it because it's. What else do you do but point out what stands out to you at the moment?
I mean, I just made videos for our Independence episode earlier this week, and for a movie we all like, we sure did spend like a good 45 minutes nitpicking we tend to do that. On movies, we spend the entire episode nitpicking.
It's true. Guilty.
So,
we're all guilty.
I don't know why we're doing that, but we sure keep doing it.
There's an expression, you hurt the ones you love. So maybe we're tearing into the movies we love the most. I kind of agree with Jeff's sentiment in there. You actually did phrase it very well when you were reviewing this. It's kind of a midlife crisis movie. And maybe it's just coming along at this point in my life where I'm like, oh, well, okay. I can very reasonably understand what this guy's going through. And so this movie speaks to me. And so that's what's going on. So
yeah, it's a very classic story of the hero feels powerless, but wait, there's more under the surface. He's actually great. And yeah, so I think it fits in well with that need to protect the family, destroy the bad guys, make everything safe and good again. Men love to have that kind of power, and I think that really dives into the entire male psyche of being, of you want to save everyone and destroy evil. And at the same time, you want to prove to yourself and everyone else that you can do that. And so the story is all about it. Some stories, they're about a person finding themselves, like going on a big adventure and discovering who they are. This is him trying to, it's him trying to find that power to save his family. But the way the story tells it, the audience goes through a journey where first they have to empathize with him being a normal guy and feeling rejected and demeaned by the policeman and his neighbor, and people look down on him. And so he wants to fight back. But then you learned that no, he's always been powerful his entire life. He just holds it in and tries to live a peaceful life.
I did have to laugh how he's been wanting to tell people. So I mentioned in my review that there was some exposition that happened. And normally I'm very loath for exposition, right? It's something that I feel like, because the movie should show you something and not tell you something, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, they kind of make a joke of the exposition because he keeps trying to tell people the past and the history of it, and they keep dying. And then afterwards, he's just like, somehow I knew this was always going to happen. And then he sets fire to his house. So it's kind of like, or something along
Yeah.
those lines. It's just kind of
And why does he set fire to his house? He does it to destroy evidence, for one thing.
yes. There's a lot of
And then
evidence.
He probably knows he needs to start over somewhere else anyway.
He could probably state that because the house is gets burned down in a particular way, he probably designed it to look like an accident happened, and then he can claim it on the insurance, so he doesn't have to, buy a whole new house with, he can get the insurance money, and then he can use that to buy the new house. But I don't
It's
know.
hard. Yeah.
I say that's kind of undercut by the part where he waits for all his neighbors to come out to look at the house burning down and then steal his neighbor's car.
Yeah, that there is that too. Like, he kind of that does seem like kind of an impulsive idea that he gets into his head, because he could very clearly just steal the Russian's car that's already out there, right?
Well,
But
like he's in the process of doing that. He like has to keep fob anything, but then he stops and looks over at his neighbor's car and then takes that instead. Which again makes sense because he doesn't like his neighbor, but it just kind of counters the idea you were presenting there of
it
the insurance thing.
it does. And it is kind of like, I guess it harkens back to the expression of burning your bridges. You might be getting rid of evidence, like Jeff is implying, but also there's more of, Jeff, I think you're kind of getting to the idea that he's wanting to cut his old, starting to want to like cut away his old life or the new life he's built, or at least cut down part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't. But he also buys a business, but then that business gets destroyed.
No,
Yeah.
But he
I
could
think he
probably
buys the
rebuild it.
business. Yeah, I think he buys the business purely to use it as an ambush side
Yeah.
because he does then spend the next little while like gearing that place up and setting up his little traps or whatever.
Yeah. He did want to buy it. They established that he was trying to buy it so that his father-in-law could retire.
And then he can then go and do, as he put it, have something that's his own. But I think he was still lost when he was trying to buy it originally. Hence why he had given a decent offer, but not an amazing offer. Because he could have pulled this trigger at any moment, just given the guy a similar amount of money. I don't know. It might have even been less than what he was offering, but if someone pours a giant pile of gold bars in front of you, you tend not to ask exactly how much is there, right? I don't know, BJ. It's never happened to me, but I don't think it's happened to you either, has it?
It was a very fast transaction.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
So maybe BJ is a secret agent after all. All right, Jeff, it's now canon. BJ
That would
might
make a
be a
lot of
secret
sense.
agent. Paid in giant gold bars. So, okay. We've got that now. But yeah,
That's why he
someone
knows so much about action movies.
It turns out I'm not an introvert. I'm just busy all the time.
So when he cancels his plans, he's probably on a plane going to Moscow, ready to parachute down and stop
Indeed.
some mad scientist with his space lasers.
A really big parachute.
well,
I'm not a small person, folks, if you don't know me.
all right, this is the point where I say in conclusion, because it was a relatively short movie. It was a relatively short movie. I do think that it was fairly nice. It kept things to only 190 minutes, so I think we should be fairly similar in that. So
We are starting to closing on our self-imposed rule of the podcast can't be longer than the movie.
So
Yep.
I think it was. I'll stand by my 5. I'll stand by my 5. I think it was
Oh, which is
it was a movie
Naturally.
that I very, very much appreciate. So leave the rest
Yes,
to you
it is a
guys.
great movie about a middle-aged man defending his family with claymore mines and explosives and homemade explosives, burning down giant stacks of billions of dollars, and taking on the whole Russian mob, all because somebody took his daughter's kitty bracelet or whatever.
except they didn't. It was under his couch.
Yeah, it turns out it was under his couch. Well, of course. But as a final theory, this is a fan theory. It's probably not, but I sort of feel like he put that pizza box under his garage because he wanted this whole movie to happen. And if he had not done that, he would have gone on with his normal life. But something made him be like, I hope somebody robs my house. I'm going to put the pizza box under there to see if the robbers come through the neighborhood. Because he didn't seem too surprised when they were in his house. I feel like that's true, but it's not explicitly spelled out. So.
Did you not present the same theory like an hour ago?
I did. I just want to say that's what I think. Anyway.
And I never saw it happen, so I don't. I'm going to say that
have
it was
to find a way to. Have to find a way to drag things on. The spectator is like, I want this to end now.
Yeah.
So repeat previous theories.
I never got the impression that he put the pizza box there, Jeff. So I don't know why you keep reading.
Neither did I.
Okay. Okay. I'm all alone.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Considering the fact they give no context clues about there being a burglar in the neighborhood or anything like that.
True.
It's just kind of a random
I'm
inciting.
BJ.
Okay, yeah, you're BJ.
He just,
Oh.
it's
I'm
his look in
BJ.
his eyes. I can
I'm
see it.
trying to end the podcast because you said you wanted to end the podcast, Gary.
I'm Gary. You're BJ.
First, we're talking too much.
and that's Jeff.
That's Jeff.
That's,
Jeff's over there doing Jeff things.
I'm trying not
Ew.
to talk. I'm trying.
It's just so hard.
It's a lot of work not to speak sometimes. It's a very laborious activity.
I made BJ start this podcast so I could talk. Now they're telling me to stop talking. What's going on?
And now I can't stop laughing. Okay, BJ, please
I'm
try
BJ.
again.
Gary, stop
Jeff,
dragging out the
Gary,
podcast,
we are-
Gary.
All three of us are present accounted for. We are now leaving. See you in a couple of weeks when we talk about something else. Maybe. Who knows at this point? We'll see you next time.